Oh, hang on. So this goes.
I think we're live, Dave.
Well, yeah, we are. We have to do the countdown. There we go. Okay, and we are live. Let's get rid of this one. Push that out. Yeah, you remove them. Remove them. Here we go. All right. Hey, everybody. We're starting the podcast tonight. It's time for Star Trek, the original series, season 1, episode 6, called Mud's Women from 1966. We're here to talk to you about it tonight on Live Long on Podcast. I'm Dave Mader. We come at you weekly, multi-weekly, with Star Trek TV and movie reviews, and we're here streaming live on our Facebook page at Live Long and Podcast, also on YouTube and on audio versions. Welcome to everybody. We are first. I will introduce my dad, Ted Mader. How you doing, Dad?
Ted Mader's here today.
He's good. Yeah, he's
Ooh.
he's
with,
and then
with Hardcourt Fenton Mud this afternoon.
Hardcourt Fenton Mud. We're here to talk to you today about it. And Jody, how are you doing? Jody Simpson, introducing Jody Simpson, here to talk to us tonight about Star Trek: The Original Series. I need to get my script a little bit better.
This podcast, just like this episode, is just
it's fantastic. It's off. It's just a little off right from the beginning. It was all a bit off.
It's a classic. This is a classic episode.
So this is about the great Harry Mudd, and this is the introduction of Harry Mudd. We have it's an exciting thing. So Jody, when we first brought up Harry Mudd last week, you said, "I'm not sure if I know who that is." And you said after starting the episode,
I forgot about him.
You had forgotten this. You had seen this at some point in your life. So I know how my dad feels. We're gonna get to him first.
I must have blanked it out of my head. I said I must have blanked it out of my mind.
What do you think of the great Harry Mudd?
I like the character.
You can call him Leo Walsh.
Well, yes, I guess technically. I like the character, but he's a snake oil salesman, a traditional 60s television snake oil salesman, kind of confirming that Star Trek was really just a Western in space, because that's basically what this was. Everything else about this episode is terrible, including the message.
It's not.
Oh, it is. It is.
So you're not a fan. Okay, Dad, come on. You say this is a classic. This is a great Harry Mudd,
this is a classic.
His debut appearance. This is I think the 6th episode technically in the order of when they aired, and it's definitely one of the earliest ones they filmed. You can tell because there are a lot of the costume changes, including Uhura. You can tell she's in the gold in this episode, which indicates it's pretty early in the production. So this is where they come in for Harry Mudd. Why do you like Harry Mudd?
Because I think he's a real character, and he kind of was fun and made the episode fun. With you never knew what was coming out of Harry Mudd. He was always had an angle behind every kind of conniving move that he was making.
The interesting characters.
Yes, he's an interesting character to say the least, and he's not like your typical boring Star Trek character, like that guy last week, but he's more of a charlatan.
Right.
A guy who is a carny. He'd be like a carny.
He's like a carny.
He's a snake oil salesman.
I prefer the term lovable rogue. That's
lovable rogue. That's a good. I agree with that.
I don't know if lovable is the first word.
Well, he's kind of just like, he doesn't mean any harm. Like he's someone who is he's always got a scam, but he's not necessarily violent, or he's not necessarily doing anything that's hurting him. Right? That's what kind of like.
He is a scammer.
He's a bit of a scammer, and so here we get Harry Mudd introduced in this episode. So we can go through play by play. And this whole episode starts with them chasing a ship that I guess they saw a ship go by. They go, "Hey, what's going on?" They don't have a beacon on. They start following it. They evade it. They go into an asteroid belt. It's kind of like, all this happens.
And the ship gets blown up.
Yeah, but very quickly, yeah, like they fly into this asteroid belt and then they can't survive, and then the Enterprise has to use all their energy to save them, right? And they're like, who are these people? Why won't they answer? And they're not too happy about this whole situation. So they beam in Harry Mudd first, who claims to be what's his name? Leo Walsh, I think is his alias.
Leo Walsh.
Yeah, so we
Leo
don't know
Walsh,
him as
yeah.
Harry Mudd when he first walks in. He goes, "Oh no, I'm Leo Walsh." And they just saved the next 3 people on board just in time because he comes over first to check things out. I guess he's about to die, but he doesn't have a lot of options. He's in the middle of an asteroid belt, but they get them over, and right away, boom, the ladies, the Mudd's women, the title characters of the episode, show up, and the men, they just not even Spock. Spock himself is quite taken.
Yes, he was dumbfounded.
So Jody, the whole premise of the episode, just with these women being introduced and what's going on. So you're already saying this is not for you. This is not your favorite episode.
This was the original Chinese wives.
I like Harry Mudd's character. I do. Now keep in mind, this is the first time he's in the show. He does return for a couple more episodes, so he's kind of a lovable scamp, right?
He comes back with one more original series episode, and then a couple animated episodes, which are canon. So he's technically has a few more.
They are canon, yeah. Yeah, like I don't have any problem with the character itself. It's the premise of the rest of this episode that I just think is just absurd. It's like, obviously you don't want me to go all the way through this, but it's essentially, well, for lack of a better term, it's prostitution and drug organized crime. This is prostitution. Like, there's no way
human
around
trafficking.
This is human trafficking for reasons of prostitution.
Right, and he kind of
goes. These mail order brides, and he doesn't mail order them.
They're mail order brides that are drugged up.
Yeah,
they're all running on drugs, man.
What do they call those guys who have all the prostitutes that work for them?
Pimps. That's what they call them. Pimps, Dave.
Oh, is that what Harry Mudd is?
He's a space pimp.
Harry Mudd. He's a space pimp.
He's a space pimp.
Space pimp.
Harry even had the earring like a pimp would have.
Right.
His big earring on his left ear.
Massive.
Angly earring the whole time, and everything going on with him, and they don't like him from the get. As soon as they save him, they're like, after the women show up, and like, they're all attractive. Like, even when they get into their ugly mode a little bit later on, I'm like, I don't really see what's going on here. But
wait, we have to talk about them showing up though, because there's a couple of observations that I actually watched over and over again, thinking, oh, maybe I'm wrong on this. So when they first beam in, McCoy is the one that seems to be like the most drawn to them. He's like, "Whoa, hello," that kind of thing. There's a scene where him and McCoy, just as the girls leave, Spock looks down like he's looking down at McCoy's crotch, and then he's like,
"Hold on, we can bring
kind of like he's dumbfounded, like, why is he so turned on by this?"
If I mute the audio,
oh, you got this, do you? Okay,
this is fair use as long as I mute the audio.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, for sure. Let's see if we can get this in here, because it's right as they're leaving. There's a scene where the two of them are in shot. McCoy's ahead; he's in the front of the frame, and then Spock's in the behind of the frame. Yeah, keep going. It's in there somewhere.
Wait, everybody's wearing this hat. I forgot about this hat. He doesn't have it the whole.
Okay, so it's about.
So that was his pimp. That was his pimp hat.
Yeah, well, he's a space pimp. He's got to have a hat. So there you go. McCoy starts getting all giddy.
Right, like just like the lineup, even Spock.
Okay,
like,
so it's coming. It's right after.
Kirk's calling down to the transporter room, and even Spock's not answering. So Spock must be taken with this, right?
Yeah, no one was answering.
And that guy there, what's that guy's name again?
Oh,
the kind of grizzly old looking dude who's running the helm.
I don't know. He's in it a lot.
Yeah,
quite a bit to say.
Could you find somebody more nasty to look at on the bridge than that guy?
Oh yeah, he's bad.
All right, so here's where they're setting it all up. Kirk's like, "What the hell? Blah blah blah. Bring him down. Blah blah blah." So okay, so here it goes. So Mud's gonna leave, then the women leave. Look at the fucking shit grin on McCoy's
I know
face, eh?
it's quite something, you know.
Okay, yeah. It was.
Like you could. He's
It's
breathing
around
heavy.
here. You can't really hear it with the audio, but there's clearly a scene where it looks like Leonard Nimoy is looking at his crotch, and then all of a sudden he looks back up at him, and he's like, almost like he just saw Woody or something. Okay, so Spock just left.
You think they snuck?
So
that
it would have been at this
episode?
point. It would have been just before this.
Okay.
I'm willing to bet it was. Yeah. Oh, there. Okay, hold on. Is it this? Maybe it's Scotty that's actually doing it. Can't remember which one it was.
Yeah,
I don't know. We can freeze.
I've had a couple. Hold on.
Like the Zapruder film, right? Like break this down for anybody.
No, because they're talking. Yeah, no, it had to have been Spock. It had to have been Spock. So it's just before this scene. Go back a little bit. No, keep going back. It's when they first start talking. All right. Okay, play from here. No, because now they're scrolling. Hold on. Okay, so there he is, Mr. Giddy. Like, hey, okay, there it is. Look, he looks down.
He does.
And then he looks back up, and he's like,
You're
"Holy
right.
shit!"
I know. I saw it. I'm
telling you,
it's there. No,
you saw that, right? Oh, it's totally there. And it's not like it was just like he was slightly off the camera. He was literally looking down at his package. And McCoy's just like, yeah.
Yeah, this episode.
So there's that.
They were probably all excited.
Like I'm not saying that these women also.
There's one other thing I want to mention about the scene.
But they're like, there's a lot of women.
Oh, they're gorgeous women.
And I don't know, like I'm not to take anything away from them or anything. I just like there's a lot of women on the show.
Well, and look at all these gratuitous ass shots. Like, oh, it's
a lot.
This is just
a lot.
I
from
like
a different
this
time.
would never. This is like HBO, man. Back in the '60s, like this is what this is.
This was prime.
This wouldn't be on normal network cable. They would have censored
Family
this.
Network TV in the 1960s.
That was probably
HBO
that was probably the first time underboob was ever showed. Hey?
Oh, probably, yeah.
This was well, yeah.
Gorgeous women.
These are risque outfits for the time, for sure. Like, well, I guess the late '60s. This was, depending on where.
How do these women know how to use a turbo lift?
They've been around.
I don't get that. I guess. Yeah. Well, apparently.
We don't have.
Well, maybe not. We don't know for sure if they've been around. Yeah, we're not watching the whole thing. But
we're not watching the whole thing.
Anyway,
I just
we don't want to get sued.
Any clip we want, but it's So the whole thing is they get introduced to Kirk, and Kirk's like, even I'm under the spell of these women. Then it's Scotty telling Spock.
Wow, that's not unheard of for Kirk.
No, but yeah, I like the line like he's married to his ship. Just try to get between him and the Enterprise EV. You'll never work. So they pretty much decide right away that Harry, well, they think his name is Leo Walsh, that he needs to be put into a hearing because why wasn't he answering? They're very official. This is very official, like Navy. They have like a little trial out there, and he brings all his women and all the men are watching, and the whole crew is going on. But they say, okay, we got to get to Rigel 12 because we blew out all our crystals saving Leo Walsh and all these women.
They had to go see Ben Childress.
Just for the record, they're called lithium crystals in this episode.
Lithium, but they're not talking about dilithium. They're talking about lithium crystals that are somehow some kind of other circuit.
They're talking about crystals that make the ship go.
True.
Lithium crystals, but they were, I don't know. Maybe they're the same.
I think they just changed the name after. But anyway.
Oh.
Right, but the whole hearing thing. So this is where it all comes out: who Harry Mudd is, what he's up to, who whatever, and because they use a lie detector on him, right? And he's just like, blasted machine, stupid boxes. He can't get through. I don't know how he couldn't fake his way through this, and so they figure out who he is. That he's a smuggler. He's got these outstanding warrants. But it doesn't really matter because he's got the women, right? And he's like, I'm going to make a deal. All the men there are basically not. Only Kirk is able to resist. on Spock, I guess, but Spock doesn't say much in this whole thing. This whole sequence here. Anyway,
No.
like I it's a fun. I don't know. It's a fun. If you like just people sitting around talking in an episode, this is fun. But like, because I think that the guy who plays him is really interesting.
That place looks like a real nice place to live on Rigel 12.
You want to go to Rigel 12? We'll take a look at Rigel 12.
They're passing Rigel 12.
Yeah, it looked
I don't think they actually went.
It looked really
Did
nice.
they land on Rigel 12? Was it
They
Rigel
do.
12 they
beam
actually
down.
land on?
Here, let's have a look at it here.
Oh,
It's
okay.
dark, stormy all the time. It's always like that.
See it
It's
there?
not a place you want to live.
Well, unless you're a crack whore that's looking for a husband.
Well, yeah, but geez, just think if it didn't go well. You're
How can you
stuck on Rigel 12.
Ted, how can you defend this episode? Everything about this episode is terrible, except for Mud.
Harry Mudd is good, but like the plot of the episode is nonsense. Like it's
Oh, it's garbage. It's
and
total
so
garbage.
He's selling. What did he say? He said he explains.
I recruit wives
I have the
or
quote.
settlers. A difficult but satisfying task.
A difficult but satisfying task.
Yeah, there.
This is the noble pursuit.
It's difficult because of all the
satisfying.
drugs he's gotta give.
He's a human trafficker. He's
Actually, it turned out that the drugs weren't really doing that much.
Supposedly.
Although it did a lot
for
for
her.
the one in the
Just
green
for that.
dress. I think she still did.
just for Evie. Evie needed the drugs. Didn't need the drugs, but the other two did. Is that what it was? Or
Well, definitely the one in the green dress needed it.
But how do you
I
explain
don't know.
the drug makes them look better?
right? Let's look at the
Like
Yeah.
everything about this episode is offensive.
Oh, you're pure. Stop being so pure.
I'm not
This
trying.
is a
Anybody who knows
classic
me.
episode.
Anybody who knows me, Ted, knows I'm not pure. All right, but like, wow.
Yeah, this is them when
Well,
they're
you know,
going
it's,
through their little phase there. Where like
Yeah,
Yeah, that was she went pretty bad pretty quick.
they always.
She didn't really go that bad. She wasn't that bad when she
fine.
went ugly.
The only difference is their hair is not combed. They don't have makeup on. Well, this one has something layered on top of her skin. I think.
Oh, they
Yeah,
clearly gave her some prosthetic. Like
yeah, but
everybody's chins are bigger than they were when they were on the
and when
drug.
they're in their pretty mode, they have the fake eyelashes on, and that's the biggest
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
beyond offensive, man. Like
Right, he's just
a
looking,
woman.
oh, find me the pills. Where are
so
the hills?
pissed off.
Where are the pills, Harry? Right? Because he is
Yeah.
the. Sorry,
He's
what
the
was that?
fucking drug pimp.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a pimp. Yeah, he's the pimp.
This is Star Trek, by
He's
the way.
looking out for these
Everybody, this
women.
is Star Trek. But you remember that episode of The Next Generation where there was like the drug addict episode where like basically Picard
Yeah.
destroys the drug supply and it's like, have fun in rehab.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is just it's
Like, and by the
like
end, okay.
how can anybody like we got a comment from Jaemeel here, and I don't know if you can
Oh.
push that up there, Dave, can you?
Oh yeah. Oh, I know.
This episode is excellent. Dad Mater is absolutely correct. Jaemeel, I love you. All right. You're a great dude. I don't get where
See,
you're
the
at on
people-
this either.
The people are putting out their voice.
They're putting it out. There you go. Well,
Well, one person put out their voice.
what's your favorite thing about this episode? While we're on it.
Me?
What's my favorite?
No, Dad. Sorry. What's your favorite thing about this episode?
I don't know. I think just the whole storyline with how Harry Mudd kind of hangs, carries himself as a charlatan kind of, as Jody would say, a drug dealing pimp. But they go down to this Rigel 12, which is like the hellhole of the world, of any world, and they're getting these crystals there, and these three miners live there in the middle of nowhere. It's bizarre.
Yeah, well, they need the crystals because they blew them out helping to save them, and then they can only get them at this one. There's one place close enough. There's only one gas station close enough, and they're at the mercy of those guys when they get there.
What would have happened if they were at 10 days from Rigel 12?
They would have been in trouble, but I guess they could have called for another ship to help them.
There would have been a lot of pregnancies on the Enterprise.
Right, there might have been.
Yeah.
Well, like the thing is that like with these female characters taking over the men on the episode, like Uhura's not really established much at this point. She doesn't have a lot to say or do yet. I don't. Janice Rand's not in this episode.
And and Sulu's running around like a horny teenager.
Yeah. He's
like
the helmsman guy on.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ugly helmsman guy that looks like Lurch Helmsman. That's what I'm going to call him. But it's like I don't even have words, Dave. I'm sorry.
The computer is describing all the males. There, I got this clip.
Unusual reading on male board members. Detecting high respiration patterns. Perspiration rates up. Heartbeat rapid. Blood pressure higher than normal.
Right, but the Venus pills don't make these people act like that, right? It's just that they make these women more beautiful. Or if you were a man, it would.
Yeah, but the men were getting all excited. That's what that's supposed to mean.
Right, but it's not because they're under a spell.
It's still a drug.
Well, they're not under a drug. They like it's the or is it? Is it some kind of hypnosis? I'm not sure. Yeah, but they get to this planet.
It's clearly.
I think there was some hypnosis.
It's clearly changing the mentality of these women.
Even though Harry Mudd's sort of like arrested under the ship in his quarters, like his 3 women are allowed to run around the ship and kind of run these little missions.
Well, because Kirk says that only he has charges, not them. Yeah,
but it's kind of, but like, and then and basically every time they come to see Harry Mudd, the security guard just get out of the way, right? Because they're just like, oh, hello. And then
I liked how Kirk asked, "Are these women your crew?" And he says, "Hell no, they're my cargo."
They're my cargo. Yeah. And then I was trying to remember,
like objectifying.
I was trying to remember, is this the one with the androids? I kept thinking that they were androids the whole time. But that's the other Harry Mudd episode, right?
That's the other one. I Mudd.
Yeah, which is Stepford Wives, basically.
Yeah, because he goes from real women to androids eventually.
And then his and in that one, his wife is there. His real wife.
Please don't make me watch that episode next week.
His real wife, Stella?
No. Yeah.
His name's Stella.
She keeps yelling, "Hardcore Fenton Mudd."
Hardcore Fenton. I gotta get those clips. Yeah, I'll get that one. But come on,
I think you guys are in love with the actual character and nothing to do with the story. The story is terrible. Like, I love Mudd. I think he's a great character. They should have used him even more than just that. But
he's fun.
You know, he could have been like a reoccurring character.
This guy who plays him is charismatic.
Yeah, absolutely. And the actor is great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the plot of the episode, is kind of ridiculous because like these miners who I guess are humans, right? They seem to be humans. Ben Childress and the rest. Like they're kind of like
you know that in 2016, TV Line ranked Eve finding out that Kirk had given her a placebo rather than a beauty pill as number 13 on the top 20 all-time original series moments. Just a little tip for you.
That's the big thing at the end where he's like,
But that's like finding a diamond ring in a stack of shit. Like it's still a stack of shit, and you still have a ring covered in shit.
Right, because it's kind of like Dumbo and the feather, right? It was like you didn't need that. You could fly all along. You didn't need the you didn't need the feather.
You didn't need the damn feather.
Yeah, you don't need this Harry Mudd to give you a pill. It's how you feel about yourself is what the message of the episode is. You gotta at least appreciate that.
I was offended by women watching this episode, Dave. Like this is just
Zach Handlin of the AV Club, you want to hear his? He gave this episode an A- rating, describing the character of Harry Mudd in particular as a familiar character type, but an enjoyable one.
Oh, I have no qualms with the character.
Like we've all met this kind of guy
A-
in our lives.
I like the guy.
We've all met a guy like Harry Mudd, or sort of like Harry Mudd. Maybe not in human trafficking
Yeah.
sense, but just a kind of a guy who's like, maybe a little bit of a small time.
We both have a friend, Dave, that would be classed as this, I think.
Maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, we're not going to name names though.
We won't name names, but here on Live Long Year podcast. But yeah, like he's fun. I understand why they kept bringing him back. And well, what do we think about how? Because rewatching this, I kept thinking about the new interpretation, the Rainn Wilson version, which neither of you know.
I don't know it.
Is that Discovery?
That's Discovery.
Oh, well, no one cares then. At least I don't.
Like, if you watch any of his, because he's playing a version of this character that's 10 years earlier and is very different.
Well, Rainn's a great character actor to begin with, though, so I can
Rainn
understand
Wilson
that.
from The Office is playing this character. Yeah. He's now the incumbent of this role, right? He's playing.
Oh yeah.
He's actively playing. They have a younger version of Stella and everything.
Oh no, good.
Yeah, I don't know if I need that. Again, I don't need more prequel stuff in my Star Trek, but whatever, it's there. But yeah, like I think that this version.
That's really what Discovery is.
I prefer this version to the Rainn Wilson version, just in terms of this character feels less evil than Rainn Wilson's version. Rainn Wilson's version is much more malevolent. Wait, a little bit more.
Roddenberry wanted a swashbuckling character as the lead. That's what he wanted. That's why they picked Harry Mudd.
They
want a swashbuckling character.
They couldn't have done.
I think he could get the. I think he could get the episode by easier if he had a real likable swashbuckler.
Well, that's the only thing that's not killing me watching the episode completely. Like is his charisma and his charm and all that. And, it's a great character. Like I have no qualms with that. But the story is. He's got a little bit of a pirate kind of thing going on. Yeah,
this
for
is
sure.
So depressing. Like if you watch this whole sequence where he's giving her the drugs, like with the sound off, you go, "This guy's fucking evil."
Oh yeah, the whole episode, you're like, "How can I hate this guy but love him at the same time?" Like he's literally doping up women and selling them. Like. I don't know how you could say this any different.
Jody, did you recognize this actor who played Ben Childress?
Childress.
The lead miner. Who's this guy?
He's the lead miner.
I recognized him, but I didn't know why.
He was in Star Trek The Next Generation.
Ooh.
Okay, well, then that's probably why I recognize him.
You remember the episode with the Binars? The Binars.
Yes.
There was kind of a guy at the Starbase who kind of looked like Picard, but with like a little bit of a goatee. I'll pull you up in a picture in a second. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I remember
20 years
this
later,
now. Yeah.
a little grayer and a goatee. Yeah. Anyway, he's played a couple roles, and he's actually in another episode of the original series called The Mark of Gideon or something. I don't know what that is, but because I'm learning that there are original series episodes I still haven't seen. This is not. I think I've seen this at some point. It's been a long time.
Me too. Yeah. I actually didn't think I saw this, and then. Sorry.
Yeah. No. You go on.
What I was saying was that I didn't think I've ever seen this episode because I didn't recognize the name right away, and then the minute I start playing it, the minute I see Mudd, I'm like, okay, now I remember this. But I didn't remember the whole plot to this episode. I must have blocked it out.
As far as the first episode goes, it's kind of in the middle for me. I think honestly, but
it's definitely not the worst season, first season episode by far. But the writing and the story and even the dialogue to some degree is just terrible in this episode.
Who wrote this story?
I'm guessing Roddenberry. It had to have been Roddenberry, yeah. All the mediocre kind of shitty ones were him usually.
He didn't write the teleplay, but that just means some of the little dialogue bits and stuff. But he wrote the story, right? So He's like, yeah.
Doesn't shock me that this is the premise for.
But you can tell
this
that
being the
maybe
premise of
was
this episode.
kind of like the whole.
This is the Roger.
Because he had pitched this as Wagon Train to the Stars, and I don't know what the hell Wagon Train is, but it's some kind of Western, I think.
A Western,
right? And I think
Yeah.
that this Ben Childress character is meant to be some kind of a Western kind of a guy, like a miner, right? He's a miner, and he's rich out here mining
the
these hills.
miner, yeah.
Yeah, so you're gonna sell me some women, Harry Mudd, and blah blah blah.
Well, he is a miner. He's mining lithium. Yeah.
Right. But you know what that thing was too? Like by the end of it, I'm thinking Harry Mudd and Kirk are kind of a good team, or kind of an interesting team, right? Because just the way they played this last scene together.
Well, the last scene together was really well done, I thought. He's like, I could be a character witness for you at your trial, Mudd. Are we allowed to play the audio?
Yeah.
Hold on.
All right, Childress, I've gone as far with you as I intend to. I want those lithium crystals, and I want them now. Enterprise, is Kirk.
Spock here, Captain.
Stand by. Do I beam down
why
the search?
Hold on.
box?
Call him then.
We're coming aboard with the lithium crystals.
How many coming, Captain?
Evil stay. Today at least.
Yeah. You get the woman. It's a great day.
Today, at least. What about tomorrow?
Yeah. If he doesn't want her tomorrow, it's not gonna work out for her.
You've got someone up there called the Enterprise.
Oh yeah. Because she was like, I was thinking about marrying you, Kirk, but you're married to the Enterprise, so I'm gonna marry Ben Childress. A little dig at Childress. It's great.
Don't you think you could possibly...
And I'm going to stay on Rigel 12.
Me behind here. On this planet, that would
Here we
be
go.
punishment enough.
I can't do that, Harry. But I will appear as a character witness at your trial. If you think that'll help.
They'll throw away the key.
Right, and that's that's
By the way, this is about prostitution and drugs.
But Harry Mudd kind of
I love that happy little chipper music at the end.
Well, no, Harry Mudd would have died on the Enterprise too if they had lost power and lost orbit and crashed into the planet, right? So, I guess he was kind of saving.
Harry Mudd's one of those guys. He lives on the edge. He's always living on the edge.
Yeah, like
I want to know why you have such a hard-on for this guy, Ted.
Harry Mudd. I remember him when this episode first came out back in the 60s. I remember this guy.
Okay.
He was like a charlatan. He was amazing.
You don't want to see the new version. You don't want to see the guy who's playing him now.
No. It's the sequel to a movie is never as good as the original.
But this is a prequel.
There are exceptions to that rule.
There's a very few, but no, not really. Godfather's the best.
The Godfather's the best?
Yeah. The other one wouldn't have existed without the original one.
Wrath of Khan versus the original Star Trek movie. By far a better movie.
Okay, well, I think we're...
The Wrath of Khan? Oh, yeah. But I don't call those... Those are copycats of the show. So those are, in essence, the show is better than the movies. But I know my kids will never agree with that.
I think we're ready to... I know this is Jameel's favorite part, is where we bring out the big Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Oh, yeah, let's bring it full screen.
We got the echo again.
Shouldn't.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Mudd's women.
Yeah, let's give some ratings for this. Okay, Jeff's not here again, so let's take him off. Okay, and Dad, what do you want to give this out of 10?
I'm going to give it a 7.5.
7.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And Jody?
This is like, I don't know. I'm going to go with like a 3. 3.5 maybe.
Okay, a 3.5. Wow, that's...
It's not a good episode.
I mean, you liked this more than the Omega Glory.
No, because I voted that less.
You liked this more, right?
Oh, I like this more than... That ain't hard.
I liked it more.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Omega Glory is a terrible, terrible episode.
IMDb is giving this a 6.8.
Oh, there is so many people.
Ooh.
And I'm going to give this. I'm going to give this a solid 6.
Oh, I'm so disappointed with you.
So where does that leave us? So I guess that means that this
The
is not
second worst episode.
the second worst we've watched so far.
Yeah, but Jeff would have probably been up around a 7 too. So I
No,
would've
Jeff
got
would have
it
given
up.
it like a
He
1.
doesn't get a vote because he ain't here. So,
Yeah.
but what about what's the next episode? Because we talked about doing something last week. We wanted to. What was it?
I got a good one for the next episode.
Yeah.
And does any of you guys know who was the inventor of the warp drive?
That's Zephyr. Oh, okay. Yes, Zephyr Cochrane
Zephyr Cochrane, yeah.
Yes.
from the movie Star Trek: First Contact. One of
How
your
did you
favorite
know
Star
that?
Trek. Have you not
Because
seen?
it's the
have you not-
movie.
have you not seen Star Trek: First Contact?
That's
No.
what the whole movie's about, is Zephyr Cochrane.
We just watched.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just watched it on
Okay, we're
Saturday.
gonna watch the show. The show is called Metamorphosis.
I know it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know it, Dave?
Oh yeah, I know who's. I
The
knew who
ninth
Zephyr
episode
Cochrane
of the
was.
second season.
Yes, Metamorphosis. Okay, it's the one. Where do I go here? Solo off, and let's hide that and bring us back here. Yeah, I know Metamorphosis. Like,
Wow,
Zephyr Cochrane in that episode is nothing like the Zephyr Cochrane in the movie.
No.
Other than they have the same name and they are the same character. But just like Harry Mudd is played by 2 different people with 2 different performances, so is Zephyr Cochrane. So maybe a
Well,
fitting,
the guy who played
You gotta
Zephyr
remember the-
Cochrane in the original series is Glenn Corbett. And he died in 93, so he couldn't have been in the movie.
There you go.
No, he couldn't have been in the movie, and it was fine with recasting it.
He didn't
because-
look that old. How did he die so young?
Who?
Do you
How
know?
did he die so young? He was 60 when he died.
Oh, was he?
According to this, yeah.
Yeah, he looks.
Hey, he died in San Antonio, Texas.
That's like a love
But
story.
I just
episode.
remember him being in. He was in the movie Midway.
Okay, it's a much more wholesome story.
Maybe,
than
yeah.
this one, than this Harry Mudd story. So hey, how about it?
Yeah. Well, there's no hookers in this one. No,
No hookers
drugs.
and drugs and self-esteem issues and human trafficking and
Yeah.
and abuse.
He died of lung
We
cancer.
cleaned it up for this.
Everybody wants to know.
Oh, he's a smoker.
Zephyr
Probably.
Cochrane died of lung cancer,
Yeah.
Dollar signs.
apparently.
Well, that means do you know what that means? Then I can bring out.
This episode brought to you by Marlboro.
We got our Zephyr Cochrane.
You can bring out what?
You know,
I built this ship so that I could retire to some tropical island filled with naked women. That's Zephyr Cochrane.
that's Zephyr Cochrane.
Yeah. That's from the movie. Ted.
And you people, you're all
Oh,
astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.
Some sort of Star Trek.
Yeah. So hey, I'm excited to see this other version of Zephyr Cochrane, who chronologically comes after that one. So kind of in his golden years as he finds
Technically, yeah.
he finds love with a big space cloud, a big electric space cloud, I believe, that saved him. I am the Guardian. Oh, we did not get those clips. Okay. All right. Well, hey, it's there's not a lot
Oh,
of
God, I
here.
can't wait.
So, these original series recaps don't.
No, there's not much to really cover.
There's not much to cover because they spend a lot of time.
Well, some of them do.
They spend a lot of time wasting time, like sitting around talking, or just like in fist.
I mean,
fights
like,
or something.
yeah, Omega Glory with its 4 synchronized fist fights.
Three synchronized or choreographed fights. And
Oh,
this
was it
one-
3? Okay.
But this one wasted a lot of time with Ben Childress like wandering out in the desert in the storm looking for her. Like like that went on for 3 days, I guess, in the story because they said they could keep that orbit for three days, and then it was 3 days later, and they almost died.
if they didn't have any power, though, they would have crashed into the planet, right? So you need energy to stay in orbit.
Yes.
I don't think you just go around in orbit forever.
Well, yeah.
Imping ain't easy.
I understand why, after having watched this episode, you believe that you need a bit of energy to maintain an orbit. Okay, so perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not.
Well, it'd be just like riding a bicycle around a hoop. Okay, like upside down. You can ride a bike upside down on a hoop. The minute you stop,
right. Unless you're
you
on
need
the
to have the
bottom.
energy to keep it going.
You don't need propulsion
Yeah.
in space.
Unless That's
Okay.
why a squirrel, not a squirrel, but a
No
hamster runs on a wheel. You got to keep it going.
There's no resistance in space.
There's no resistance. No, you keep going. Yeah, you have centrifugal force. They call that.
That's right. Therefore, you don't need
There you
propulsion.
go.
You only need propulsion to acquire the orbit.
Exactly. Everybody, Dad, you don't have to click the X when we stop broadcasting. You can keep going if you want to, unless you want to go.
Okay.
Everybody else, you don't have to go home, but you can stay here. We're going to be back on Saturday for our rewatch of Star Trek Insurrection, and we'll be here on Sunday evening on Trivial Debates to talk about, to have our Trivial Debates. Jody's hosting that one. We got Kevin.
This Sunday?
It's this Sunday. You better get the questions out. It's Thursday
Crap!
night,
I guess I gotta write those. I gotta write those questions.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Can you send me the format, Dave, when you get a chance?
Yeah, I'll send you the form. You know the format.
How many followers did you get so far?
For this channel?
No, for you had to get 100, didn't you?
We're not at 100 yet. We need subscribers, everybody. Subscribe. Get your friends to subscribe. Get your family members. Create like a fake account and subscribe through that. That's what we need right now. We need to go to 100 subscribers.
It's fine.
Yeah, all our channels. Live Long.
How many you got now?
Trivial Debates. Super Mater Brothers. All of them. Do not leave a stone unturned. If you don't know how to subscribe, Google it. It's there. You can do it. We need your support. Watch our Super Mater Brothers.
You just click subscribe. It's not hard.
It's not hard. And I think that covers everything. Oh yeah, Tuesday night we're back with we'll be talking Star Trek Deep Space Nine, the episode Dax for the 8th episode of the first season. So, and the first real spotlight on the Dax character in that series, which will be really great. Okay, everybody. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Jody. We'll be back next week to talk Metamorphosis. See you then. Bye.